Hello, Spartan fans. It's good to have you here with us again. This week, we'll look back as the football team traveled to New Jersey to take on the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers.
We'll also recap the volleyball team's trip to Morgantown for the Mountaineer Invitational.
And the cross-country season got underway as well. So much to get to on this edition of the Spartan Sports Zone, coming up right now.
Hello and welcome back to our weekly program, the Spartan Sports Zone. I'm Ross Gordon, the play-by-play voice of the Spartans, joined by Mike Bello, the Assistant Sports Information Director, and Chandrea Lee of the NSU Sports Information staff. Week 2 of the NSU football season takes us on the road for the first time this year. After falling at home to the Black Bears of Maine, the Spartans went back to work at practice to get ready for the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. High Point Solutions Stadium, the site of the third clash between the Spartans and Spartan Knights, with Rutgers winning both wide leads. The action started slowly as NSU was pinned deep in their own territory for most of the first quarter. After a pair of 3-and-outs by both teams, the Spartans' running game got things going as Deuce Finch rumbled 36 yards to get the Spartans out from the shadow of their own end zone to the 40-yard line. Rutgers forced a fourth down, and the first of the 3 scores in the first quarter was set up as Dalton Frazier's punt was blocked by Karan Pratt and picked up by the Scarlet Knights at the NSU 15-yard line. 5 plays later, Rutgers scored on a 1-yard run by Paul James, who ended the day with 3 scores to go up 7-0. On the next NSU possession, Finch fumbled to set up another short field for the Scarlet Knights, and just 3 plays later, Gary Nova passed for his only touchdown of the game, connecting with Ruhan Peel for a 7-yard touchdown reception. The final score of the quarter came after the Spartans again were pinned deep in their own territory. After starting the drive at the Spartan 33-yard line, Rutgers finished out the quarter with a 10-yard touchdown scampered by James, putting the lead at 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. Head coach Peter Adrian was pleased with his defense, especially considering the short fields that the Rutgers offense had.
Well, I thought the defense did an outstanding job. There was like you said, their first touchdown drive was a 20-yard drive. Their second was about a 25, and their third one in the third quarter, I think, was 35 yards. So, the block punt certainly hurt us, and the punt certainly hurt us on that situation, giving them such great field position. But the defense played very well.
We moved to the second quarter, where the story there was the NSU defense. On the first drive of the quarter for the Scarlet Knights, Gary Nova was intercepted by Marcel Cope, who returned the ball to the Rutgers 36-yard line. The NSU offense stalled and had to punt, but the defense was not done. After a long drive by the Scarlet Knights looked destined to put points on the board, Lyndon Trail sacked Gary Nova at the 21-yard line. That forced a 38-yard field goal attempt, which went wide left going into the break. The second half was more of the same for NSU. 2 rushing touchdowns in the third quarter, one by Huggins and the other by James, pushed the lead to 35-0. Kyle Frederico finished the scoring with a 24-yard field goal to provide the final margin of victory. Overall, the Spartans gained 133 total yards, with 74 coming through the air. Joe Hawkins led the Spartans with 2 receptions for 24 yards, and Deuce Finch finished the game with 46 yards on the ground. Defensively, the Spartans held their own for much of the game, surrendering 423 total yards, including 273 on the ground. The Spartans have a bye week now, and Coach Adrian hopes his offense can find some rhythm heading into next week's game.
Well, it's very valuable because, again, it's almost like going back to camp again. The next 3 days will be a lot of fundamentals and a lot of good work against our defense, get ourselves back right a little bit, and again, get our throwing game going. We've got to get the ball down the field some.
The Spartans will return to action next week as they host Charleston Southern at Dick Price Stadium. Now it's time to take a look at how the volleyball team fared over the weekend with Mike Bello.
Thanks, Ross. Looking to make some noise in their second weekend of the regular season, the volleyball team headed north to the Mountaineer Invitational at West Virginia. The Spartans played 4 matches in 2 days, beginning on Friday against West Virginia and Navy. NSU kept the match close against the host Mountaineers in the first two sets before West Virginia pulled away in the third for a 3-0 victory over the Spartans. Later in the day against Navy, Norfolk State let a pair of leads slip away in both the first and second sets in an eventual 3-0 loss as well. NSU did rebound on day 2 of the tournament with a come-from-behind 3-2 victory over Canisius. Tied at 1-1, Canisius rallied to win the third set in extra points before NSU came away victorious in the last 2 sets. Coach Duvall was none too pleased, though, with NSU giving away several leads throughout the tournament.
We had 4 matches total, so we had to go after it every single match. The issue we faced mainly is, we were competitive in almost every single match. I think Fordham was a pretty good team. They didn't really give us much of an opportunity, but against West Virginia and against Navy especially, we had leads in all of those matches and really played them extremely competitive. And I told the girls, we need to be able to compete, we need to be able to fight, and we did that all the way up until the end. When we got to the end of the match, then it was pretty difficult because you saw a lot of tension, a lot of girls playing a little bit more tight.
After hitting in the negative against Navy the day before, the Spartan offense woke up against Canisius. Jessica Johnson led all players with 19 kills, while Goda Yankoskeda added 16 kills, but it was setter Darcy Moore who shined the most. The sophomore set the school record with 56 assists in the match, topping the previous best of 55 set 10 years ago. Moore was later named to the all-tournament team. Duvall was pleased with Moore's performance as they looked for her to take the next step in her development this season.
Darcy has big shoes to fill because replacing Nicole, who's our all-time assist leader, Darcy understands the expectations out of that position, and she's been doing extremely well. She's continuously developing her leadership, her communication with the other players, connecting with the hitters, things like that you can see she's better at this year than she was last year, and she's only going to continue to get better.
The last match of the tournament for the Spartans pitted them against Fordham. Norfolk State was no match for the Rams, though, as NSU fell by another 3-0 score. The Spartans will look to fix those mistakes when they return home to host the Spartan Classic this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Joseph Eccles Hall. Later in the show, we will take a closer look at the teams in the tournament and hear from Duvall about what the Spartans need to do to take care of business at home. All that plus more coming up on the Spartan Sports Zone.
Secure your future by getting a top-notch education only at Norfolk State University. With world-class faculty and facilities, a bustling campus life, and highly regarded programs in the College of Science, Engineering, and Technology in the School of Business, Norfolk State is one of Virginia's leaders in higher education. Founded in 1935 as a beacon of hope to the region's youth, more than 78 years later, the university remains a source of inspiration for those in the Hampton Roads region and beyond who aspire to fulfill their dreams. A military-friendly school in one of the largest military areas of the world, Norfolk State University is home to faculty researchers who have forged partnerships that have created cutting-edge virtual learning environments. With more than 30,000 alumni, Norfolk State has played a vital role in our community in the past and is serving in a critical role today, and will continue to be an academic leader in the future. Find out more at nsu.edu. Norfolk State University, infinite possibilities.
The Norfolk State cross-country programs opened the season over the weekend at the UMES Lid-Lifter Invitational in Princess Anne, Maryland. The men took first place, followed by UMES, Morgan State, Delaware State, and Coppin State. Individually, the Spartan men took the top 4 spots as freshman David Kibet led the way, running a time of 15 minutes and 46.02 seconds. The women's team finished second behind Morgan State, followed by UMES and Delaware State. The Spartans had 5 runners placed in the top 10, with sophomore Faith Summy finishing third with a time of 19 minutes and 25 seconds. NSU will travel back to Princess Anne, Maryland on September 21st to compete in the UMES Cappy Anderson Invitational.
With both cross-country and football off this weekend, the Spartan volleyball players will have the spotlight on themselves as the only NSU team in action. They will host Charlotte, UMES, and Bethune-Cookman in the Spartan Classic at Eccles Hall. NSU will play Charlotte at 7 p.m. on Thursday, Bethune-Cookman at 7 p.m. on Friday, and UMES at 6 p.m. on Saturday. There will also be matches at 4 p.m. on Friday and 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. on Saturday involving the other 3 schools. NSU will be looking for a bit of revenge against UMES after the Hawks rallied to defeat NSU last year in the team's matchup in Norfolk. The loss prevented Norfolk State from winning the MEAC Northern Division crown. Spartans had UMES at match serve but were unable to close the deal, leading this year's team to adopt the unfinished business motto. The Spartans will be facing a much different UMES team this time around, though. Head coach Don Meadow left to take over the program at Towson, and UMES lost 9 of its top 10 players from a year ago, including 7 who still had eligibility. Duvall isn't downplaying, though, what the match means to Norfolk State.
Right, UMES. I mean, they've earned themselves a reputation. They have a name for themselves, and regardless if it's the same personnel or not, that's the team we look at as they're the defending champions, regardless of who's on the roster, and they've earned the right to say they're the defending champions until the end of this year. So when we play them, we're going to come in with the same intensity we always would have of knocking off the champs, basically. And
UMES owns an 0-6 record on the year, while former MEAC Southern Division foe Bethune-Cookman has a 1-5 record, with their only victory a 3-0 win over perennial bottom dweller Savannah State. Charlotte enters the tournament with the most pedigree, carrying a 3-4 record with wins over Charleston Southern, Chattanooga, and UNC Asheville this year. After letting several leads slip away last weekend at West Virginia, Duval is looking for NSU to clean up some of its mistakes and put teams away when they can.
The focus at practices this week is basically going to be closing out and finishing. We're extremely competitive. We're more competitive than we've ever been. We've been able to fight. The game against West Virginia this weekend was fantastic all the way until we could potentially win, and then you could just see the tightness show up. So that's the kind of stuff we're going to work on this week.
You can catch all the action at nsuspartans.com with the free live stats as well as a live video feed. Cost of the video feed is $5 per match, or $8 for a doubleheader pass. And as always with Spartan volleyball matches, admission is free for this weekend.
It's now time for this week's top 3 performances. At number 3, Faith Summy of the women's cross country team placed 3rd at the UMES Lid-Lifter Invitational with a time of 19 minutes, 25.82 seconds. The Missouri transfer was a big reason NSU finished 2nd at the meet as a team. Our number 2 performer is freshman cross country runner David Cabet. He finished 1st at the meet at UMES with a time of 15 minutes, 46.02 seconds to help NSU take home the team title. And coming in at number 1 is sophomore setter Darcy Moore. A native of Colorado, Moore set the NSU single match record for assists with 56 against Canisius on Saturday. She was also NSU's lone representative on the all-tournament team. And that will do it for this week's edition of the Spartan Sports Zone. As always, we'd like to thank the Department of Video and Media Productions and Chantel Copes for all their help.
I'm Chandra Ali.
I'm Mike Bello.
And I'm Ross Gordon. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week.